From trackside to roadside and wherever you'd see a sign, Scale Signs has it all. With over 1,400 offerings in N, HO, S, and O scale, Scale Signs has the largest collection of fine scale signs on the planet. Come see the details that bring your models to life on their website, scalesigns.com. Need a curve turnout that actually fits your layout? Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply has you covered with Roadmaster flexible turnouts. Just follow your center line on benchwork, a track plan, or even a scaled aerial image and build the turnout to match your railroad. No complicated jigs, fixtures, or fixed geometry. Roadmaster flexible turnouts from Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. Take 10% off with code FLEX at ohrtracksupply.com. Tully Models is heading to the St. Louis RPM July 23rd through 25th. Stop by their table for new feed mill kit and freight car load announcements, plus a large assortment of details to take your layout industries to the next level. Can't make it to St. Louis? Tully Models will also be at the National Train Show in Chattanooga, August 1st and 2nd. See more at tullymodels.com. Meet me in St. Louis for the largest annual RPM event in the U.S., July 23rd through the 25th. For more info, head to stlrpm.com. We're giving away a hard-sided storage and transport case from modeltrainbox.com. Subscribe to ATLP Extra by July 9th for your chance to win at atlpextra.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Around the Layout, where model railroaders come to tell their story. My name is Ray Arnott, so glad you could join us. On this special episode, we're talking about something a little different. This isn't just about a product announcement or a manufacturer update. This is about a major national model railroading event coming to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the role ScaleTrains has played in helping make that happen. Shane Wilson, president of ScaleTrains, talks to me about the 2026 NMRA National Convention, how Chattanooga became the host city, what ScaleTrains has done to support and promote the event, and what attendees can expect when they arrive. Shane, welcome back to Around the Layout podcast.
Hey, thanks so much, Ray. It's great to be back, and we really appreciate you having us on the podcast to share with everyone all the fun and excitement we're going to have in Chattanooga at the end of July and the first weekend of August.
Well, I certainly appreciate you coming here and taking time out of what must be a busy time at ScaleTrains getting ready for this big event in your backyard.
Yeah, this is, it's amazing to me. We've been planning for this for well over 2 years. And as we get closer, we're just about a month away at this point. Holy smokes, all the little loose ends to tie up. Our marketing team is running full throttle, and we had our company meeting today, and I prepped our whole team. I said, the marketing team's going to be reaching out very soon and looking for volunteers, voluntolds, to help us get the job done so that we help put on an awesome event along with the NMRA, and so that everyone has a great time and talks about Chattanooga for years to come.
Absolutely. Pumping oxygen into that building, making sure everybody keeps going.
Maybe a little helium.
There you go. And yeah, whatever it takes to keep that energy going, keep things moving along. That's fantastic. And it's so cool to see that, coming to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Here's an area with a lot of railroad history. Your obviously backyard ScaleTrains located in Cleveland, right?
That's correct. We're just about 30 minutes north of downtown Chattanooga, so not too far away.
Awesome. So talk about that. What makes Chattanooga really the right place for an NMRA National Convention?
Well, this really goes back. The story starts probably in about 2018, 2017, when Roy Masterson, who's an awesome gentleman, he kind of helped revive the Cherokee division here in Southeast Tennessee. And Roy said, it'd be really kind of cool to do the SER Convention Southeast Regional in Chattanooga. And we talked a lot about it. And Roy put together a team, including myself, and we helped bring the SER to Chattanooga in 2019. And it was one of the most successful SER conventions to date. And after that convention, and there was a little bit of rest, Roy and I were chatting, and Roy's like, I think we should try to bring the Nationals to Chattanooga. And I said, I'm glad to hear you say that. I think we should too. And Roy and I started those conversations. And from day one, we pledged that whatever Roy and the committee needed, whether it's marketing help or financial help or anything that's needed, to reach out to us, and we would support in any way. And so Roy, along with our team, helped put together the pitch, and we did that to the national, and they said they gave us their blessing. So for the first time in 90 years, believe it or not, the convention and the National Train Show will be in Chattanooga.
Hosting a national convention like this, what does that mean to the modeling community in the area, especially the Southeast region?
This is a huge deal. Nationals has been in Atlanta. Atlanta's about two and a half hours south of Chattanooga, but this is a smaller metro area, and the NMRA is really wanting to reach out to some of these smaller regions to be able to, or smaller metro areas, to bring a convention. And we're going to upstate New York here in 2 years, and it's really been an opportunity to get a lot of work done. I know a lot of modelers who are on layout tours, and boy, they've made a ton of progress on their railroads to get them ready for nationals. And there's, of course, modeling contests, and folks are working on their projects they'll bring for those. And it's just an opportunity too. It's amazing. When I first moved to Southeast Tennessee, that's now been coming up on 12 years, there really wasn't a strong model railroading community. In fact, I thought I was kind of a lone wolf when I first moved here, and got connected with a modular group and found a few folks. And then Roy really stepped in on the NMRA side around that time. And he was actually the first modeler I met when we moved to Southeast Tennessee. Went to see his railroad, and we struck up a friendship, and from there it kind of blossomed. Well, it's really ignited the passion. And there's so many more modelers here that it's just amazing to me. Like the president of one of the local model railroad clubs, he was president when we first moved to Tennessee and works for us now. He's told me several times he's just shocked at how many models there actually are in this area. And this has kind of been an awakening for model railroading in Southeast Tennessee, Northwest Georgia, even Western North Carolina.
Yeah, I was going to say, going off of the 2019 Southeast Region Convention and then going into the 2026 National Convention, when you start to, make it to bring attention to an event where people can gather and connect, it's got to strengthen that community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been a lot of work that goes into it. Boy, the amount of work that the committee's done, and also in working with National to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. There's convention centers to rent and hotels to book and buses and all those things that go in behind the scenes. It's a tremendous amount of work. And I would like to give a big thank you to all the volunteers, as well as the folks at the national level that have been working on the convention, because the amount of hours and time that go into doing something like this, unless you've kind of peeked behind the curtain, it's an incredible amount of work, and really do appreciate all that's gone into it.
Talk about the pitch. What did it take to prove out that Chattanooga could handle a national convention?
I think hosting the convention for Southeast Regional in 2019 really helped that. As part of that convention, of course, it was over a weekend. On the Thursday before it started, we had an all-day event at ScaleTrains at our previous location in Benton, and it blew us away. We did a ride on the Hiawassee River Rail. We had about 240 people on the train. It was the most people that had ever ridden that train at one time. And we had people from as far away as 5 countries. And I think there were about 28 or 30 states represented. We brought Pele in for that event as well. Had a lot of media personalities. And that was the kickoff to the convention. And then we had a really strong clinics and other things happening for that particular convention. And it just showed that we had the talent and the ability here in this particular division to help bring it to put on a national convention. And then as we worked on the pitch, the big part of the pitch, there was a lot of talk about the National Train Show and really wanting to go from 3 days to 2 days to make it more cost effective for manufacturers. And then a lot of talk about shortening the convention a day or two to help it make it more budget friendly. And then the big part of the pitch was Chattanooga is a place to bring the family for a vacation. So, if dad or mom is the model railroad enthusiast, the train enthusiast, and the other spouse and the kids want to go and do something fun while they're at the convention, there's so much here to do. And so we, in the pitch pack, included a lot of those things. You talk about the incline railway to the top of Lookout Mountain. There's so much history with the Civil War. The Chickamauga battlefields just across in Georgia has the largest collection of pre-1900s firearms in the world. And then, of course, the battlefield itself. And I'll tell you, if you've never seen a Civil War battlefield, it is the most unbelievable thing. You're standing feet away from the other side. And I mean, you could literally, I'm sure, see clearly the person that you're in battle with. And so that's pretty amazing. We've got things like whitewater rafting, hiking, mountain biking. Gosh, the Chattanooga Aquarium is world class. There's so many things that a family to Rock City. In fact, the NMRA group worked really closely with Rock City, and there's a Rock City barn contest. So if you've probably seen those along the highway, if you're anywhere in the Midwest or the Southeast or even into the Northeast, to say see Rock City. So a lot of work with the community in that as well. And so with all of those things coming together, it was a perfect opportunity to see about bringing the convention to Chattanooga.
It's got to be a great impact for the city of Chattanooga as well. I mean, an economic impact, bringing so many folks to the city, and between hotels and restaurants and all these other activities that people can be doing. Was there any interaction with the Chattanooga folks, the city there as well as part of this pitch?
That's a great question, Ray. So Roy engaged very early the Chattanooga Convention and Visitors Bureau, who helped us with the convention center as well as some of the local hotels and attractions and things that we could do. They've been super supportive. And I haven't, the last I heard, we were north of 1,000 convention registrations, which is
Wow.
in the modern era is probably the largest convention in several years. And I know registrations are still climbing, and also talking to folks who are just planning to come in for the long weekend. So I think that it's going to be really busy and a great time for everybody that makes the trip.
Yeah, and a good injection of, again, people coming and spending money in Chattanooga has got to be exciting for them and exciting for you folks as well. And I'm thinking about national conventions, and I'm rewinding in my mind back to 2023 when we saw each other at the national convention in Grapevine in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's when you had the camper inside. You guys were roasting some s'mores inside. I guess they were made in a microwave, but we pretended it was on a campfire because you can't.
Well, actually, they were M&Ms. S'mores.
Were they M&Ms? Okay.
Yeah, we wanted to do the real thing, but the convention center wouldn't let us.
Yeah, there you go. So it was a good time, though, and it was neat to have the camper inside. And thinking about that, how does your participation in past national conventions and seeing that as you move forward in the planning stages of the 26th national convention, how did that help?
ScaleTrains has always been, we've always tried to march to the beat of our own drummer, and we're not afraid to try new things and do different things. And I think that approach has really helped us in partnering with the NMRA. Some of the things that we're doing for the National Train Show here in Chattanooga, we've worked a co-op with the NMRA, and there'll be billboards starting on July 4th for 30 days. We'll be reaching over 1 million folks every day in the greater Chattanooga area for a full month, which hopefully that will really help drive families to come to the National Train Show. And then also at the airport in the Rotunda, there's huge video boards. And on those video boards, we're actually going to run an ad ourselves, welcoming everyone to Chattanooga and then promoting the National Train Show. So anybody flying in or out of Chattanooga for the next month will see that as well. We're working with local media to help bring folks to the National Train Show too. Our hope is that this is one of the biggest national train shows for attendance in recent history. And we're doing everything we can to help support the NMRA and the National Train Show to make that happen. And we've done some pretty creative things to do that. One of the big things that's been a draw, and Ray, you got to see us out on the road trip for probably 2 years. Well, since the announcement happened that the convention was going to be at Chattanooga, we wrap up the road trip presentation with a couple of slides about coming to Chattanooga for the National. And so we've literally promoted that from coast to coast. And it's been in our social media as well as on our newsletter for the better part of 2 years. So we're hoping that our reach in the model railroad community will just strengthen what the NMRA has happening, and that we can help bring more people to Chattanooga.
As you mentioned, for quite a few years, yourself and your wife and your four-legged family members all hit the road, and your passion for being at the foot of the customer is certainly to be noted. But now they're coming to your feet, and now you're going to have them in your backyard. That's got to be a thrill for you to know that as you travel the world and you saw these people, now they're coming to you and you get to see them again, but now on your turf.
I find that to be one of the most exciting parts about this convention. I've talked to so many people who have seen us on the road trip that say we're coming this summer. And we've been truly blessed. The last time we did this event, we were in Benton in our original office and warehouse, and it was about 2,700 square feet. We actually had a tent behind the office and warehouse that was larger than our building to accommodate everybody that came that day. And this time, the difference, we moved to Cleveland, which is a much larger community, and it's to be able to attract great talent and keep great talent. There's a much better housing market here. And of course, restaurants and grocery stores, banks, those kind of things. And I don't say this to brag. I say this because we're blessed. We were able to move into a 30,000 square foot facility. And when we moved in here, I can remember walking through here the first time we looked at the building I walked through with our operations manager. We left here, went to lunch, and for 10 minutes, we never said anything to each other. I finally said, look, I know I'm crazy, but the value in this building, we'd be crazy to pass this up. But we never thought we would fill the place. And here we are about 3 years later, and we're out of office space. So that's a blessing. The warehouse is filling up. The back of the building has a model railroad club, and there's another part that's got some storage that we're cleaning out for some future opportunities. So it's going to be fun to be able to bring folks into our facility. We've got our media center now is built out for photo and video. We've got Pele's Railroad here. Our team has really been working hard to make sure it's in great operating order, getting it cleaned up. The colors are really vibrant again. We're building an N-scale model railroad, Fremo layout here, and it's a chance to meet the team. Everybody's coming in from ScaleTrains from across the country, so all of our remote team will be here as well. So, and this is probably only about the fourth time in our 12-year history everybody will be under the roof at the same time. So super excited about the opportunity for people to meet everyone and spend time with us.
I call those team photo days, right? Like whenever you can get every single person in, it's time for the team photo. And, for you folks, that you guys, so many folks working for ScaleTrains, not only in Cleveland, but, around the country as well. That's got to be a great moment to get everybody in house. But then again, you get the customers there and you're at the foot of them. Talk about the experience of being at the foot of the customer and the things that you learn by doing so. What can they deliver to you?
Right, you're full of great questions. For us, even since our very first business plan, we've said we've never wanted to be a nameless, faceless company. We want to be a company where everyone. When you see us at a trade show, you're comfortable walking up to us and having a conversation. Because the folks that started the company, 3 of us are model railroaders. 1 person's a modeler just in sci-fi and plastics. So we understand the community that we serve. And as we've grown, boy, so many people on our team are modelers as well, have a passion for real trains. And by being one-on-one with the customer, it helps us gain a better pulse on what's happening in the market. We get tremendous product suggestions. One of the biggest benefits of the road trip, in addition to meeting people where they live and seeing all the club layouts and museum layouts and home layouts, and there's so much that went into that. By us traveling across the country and then folks coming here, the most difficult part of what we do as a model train manufacturer is finding the documentation to create the model, whether that's high resolution photos, paint and lettering diagrams, builders drawings, information. That's really what it's all about. And as we travel the country, one of the things that we do is we will scan slide collections for free. We keep a copy of the digitals. We give the copy back to the original owner as well as their slides. And there were so many times that happened. We were coming out of Ogden, Utah. The night before we left, I got a message from a gentleman who said, "Hey, I know you're going to pass through Green River, Wyoming tomorrow. If you can meet me at the gas station," he gave me the address, "I will give you my entire UP slide collection from the 1960s and 1970s. Wow, what a gold mine that was. And there's projects in there we've always wanted to do, but we couldn't come up with the right photos. And here it is, right? And that happens so many times. Or we met people who could give us access to the prototype. We were down in Fort Myers, Florida, and the Seminole Gulf Railroad. We finish up a meet and greet, and this gentleman comes up and says, "So what are you guys doing tomorrow morning?" I said, "Well, we have to be in Miami tomorrow night, but nothing really planned in the morning." And he's like, "Well, would you like a tour of the Seminole Gulf Railroad? I'm the owner and president." And it's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those connections would have never been made had we not been there. And I think the cool part about having everyone here is the people that we've seen, we get to reconnect with them. And I'm certain there'll be a lot more new faces as well. And just getting the chance to know them and connect and see how we can be a better model railroad provider for them.
Well, there's certainly going to be a lot of great opportunities for folks that are attending the 2026 NMRA National Convention in Chattanooga, Tennessee, to interact with ScaleTrains, not only at your facility in Cleveland and not only at the National Train Show. I know that you've also got some of your ScaleTrain staff hosting clinics at the National Convention. Talk a little bit about that, Shane.
So some pretty exciting things there. We're actually bringing Pele back to this particular convention. Pele will be here all week. He's going to host a couple of clinics at the convention. And then we've got our team queued up as well. I think there's about 5 members of our team who will be giving clinics throughout the week too. So another way that we're involved with the convention. And then as you look at the entire week, Tuesday, we've got an NMRA tour bus that'll be dropping by. And we're getting all of that ready for them to spend some time with. I think there'll be about 50 people on that particular tour. And then the big event will be on Thursday. We're doing the Somerville Steam Excursion with a 4501. We worked with TVRM, that's the Tennessee Valley Railway Museum, to repaint 4501 into the green excursion colors from the 1970s. So it's been some 50 years since it's been in green. And it's a celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Southern Steam Program. Actually, for folks who are HO modelers, they're going to receive a commemorative passenger car from TVRM, or lettered for TVRM as part of the train ride. We'll have something special for our in-scale customers as well. And that ride will be an all-day ride. We're going to go down to Summerville, Georgia. We'll leave I think the ride leaves about 8 in the morning. We'll get down there around noon. And when we get to Summerville, the city has rolled out the red carpet for us. The locomotive get turned on the turntable, and while we're waiting, there's a big top set up. We'll have, I think, about 350 people under the big top for a good old Southern style barbecue lunch. And I think we've got ribs and chicken and pulled pork and all the sides and the banana pudding and the sweet tea and all those good things. And then we'll give you some previews of some things that are coming up while we're there at lunch. Then we'll get back on the train. There'll be a photo run by on the way back. And we'll get back to Chattanooga probably about 5:30 in the evening. So a full day on Thursday. And then on Friday, you're coming into town just for the weekend, or ScaleTrains is going to be open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's open to anyone. You don't have to be registered for the convention. We'll be doing multiple clinics throughout the day. I'll be doing how model trains are made. Believe Pele will give at least one, if not 2, how-to clinics as well. You'll be able to visit with him in his Daneberg sub, which is going to be really special. That's never happened in the United States before. And then to cap it all off at the close, about 6 o'clock is when we're going to do the final road trip presentation. We're going to bring road trip to a close. I think that's going to be a little emotional for me because we poured a lot of our life into that. My wife and I were on the road. In the course of 4 years, we spent 50 weeks on the road. and
Wow.
visited nearly 200 model railroad museums and clubs. So seeing that chapter of our life come to a close, I think will be a little tearjerker for me. And then we get into the National Train Show over the weekend. You'll be able to come and have your photo taken with the big red truck. So we'll have that parked in our booth, and we'll have all of our latest products on display. We're going to set up the campfire again. This time it's going to be Oreo s'mores, and they are
Nice.
really good. They're probably better than the M&M s'mores. And we'll make all of our new product announcements. We're actually going to have some personalities in the booth, including Pele, at scheduled times, so you'll be able to come and meet folks. Our entire team will cycle through all weekend. And so you get to meet the entire ScaleTrains family if you come to the National Train Show. A lot of things going on there as well. The world record T-track layout will be there. A lot of layouts, a lot of vendors, and manufacturers. I think it'll be an awesome show for everybody. And then Monday, ScaleTrains will be closed for the day, but our entire team is going to spend an extra day so we can actually celebrate together and build those bonds with our remote team and do some things to help us get prepared for the future. It's going to be a crazy week.
It certainly sounds like a crazy week. I want to go back, and I got to ask about your relationship in working with the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. Now, maybe I'm asking this wrong. Did you have them repaint it? It was something that they had planned to repaint the locomotive. How did that all come about? Because that's a pretty big thing. I mean, it's not just like, hey, put a sticker on it. We're repainting this entire thing. How'd that go down?
Oh, you never know unless you just throw that Hail Mary pass, right? So I was talking with the president of TVRM, Tim Andrews, and one of our guys here had suggested it, and it was kind of funny. And I'm not sure which one of us brought it up, but both of us had the same idea. And as we talked about it, I said, well, we'd be willing to make a pretty significant financial contribution to be able to make that happen. And after much discussion, TVR decided that was the path they wanted to go down. They wanted to use our donation as the seed money. The donation was enough to repaint the locomotive, but they wanted to use it as the seed money for a capital campaign to build a new paint booth so they could actually paint indoors. And I know they've made great progress towards that. I'm not sure if they've raised quite enough capital yet to do that, but I'd encourage folks if they feel generous, especially during the convention time, to even toss a few bucks towards TVRM and earmark it for their new paint booth. They would greatly appreciate it, because like 4501 was repainted outside. So there were days when it rained here in the spring, and it made things a real challenge and took them right up to their deadline. So, and if you don't know, TVRM does a lot of rail preservation, and they work with not only their equipment, but equipment from across the country. I've seen them do new, they're not called traction tires, but the bands you put on a steam locomotive, they have the ability to do that. And actually they could do just about anything on a steam or diesel locomotive. So that helps with railroad preservation as well.
And that's a big tie-in for you folks too, isn't it? These preservation societies and in these historical societies and the work that you folks do, it's got to go hand in hand, the research that you put into the model and what they're able to provide in that process.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Ray, we have 12 values as part of our mission, vision, and values. And value number 12 is serve our communities. And we define that as be the light. And we feel like this is an opportunity to be the light in the model railroad community, as well as our local communities and in preservation. We really helped with, but there's been a lot of projects that we've been involved with. Some we've been public about, some we haven't. But it's important to us because it goes back to having a relationship that works for both parties, right? It helps us in gathering the information that we need, and it helps the museum or the historical society in their preservation efforts. So it's a great symbiotic two-way street relationship. And honestly, it's part of our core. I mean, that's our 12th value as a company.
Speaking of the Somerville Steam Special that will be running on that Thursday, and I look forward to being on that ride. It's going to be a great time and being able to hang out with the ScaleTrains folks amongst a whole bunch of other folks, including a contingent from Australia that'll be on that train. And As you mentioned, Pele will be on the train and you will be on, and everybody. It's just going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to that trip, and also looking forward to that barbecue lunch. That's going to be a great time too. I know there's going to also be some events on that train. Now, I wouldn't dare ask you to actually hint the actual announcements on the show, but just kind of give us a preview of, what we can expect. I know this has got to be, big for you to be able to do some announcements, not only on the train, but at the national train show as well. Talk about how that's all going to work.
So when we get to Somerville, there at lunch, we will give a preview of what we'll announce at the national train show. I'll tell you, Ray, one of the hardest things in the job that we do, from the moment we knew Nationals was coming to Chattanooga, we started planning for what we would like to unveil here. And man, our team has just absolutely worked so hard to make this happen. But unfortunately, I think we may fall a little short on some really key things that we were working on. We're trying, but we will for sure have an all-new locomotive announcement. Pretty excited about this. Many folks who are listening probably know Matt Gentry. This will be Matt's. Matt's been with us now 2.5 years. This kind of gives you an idea of how long it takes to bring things to fruition. And this will be Matt's first locomotive project with us. So 2.5 years later, he finally gets to see the fruits of his labor, and pretty excited for Matt to be able to see that. We'll of course have our new N-Scale announcement that we just made at the N-Scale Convention. And then from there, a little up in the air, we'll have some exact rail freight cars for sure that we will make some announcements on. We're working on a couple of new product categories for us, but unfortunately, boy, I know that we won't have the sample in time for one of the categories. We may tease it with the engineering. And a very revolutionary product for that particular product category. So outside of locomotives and freight cars, we were also working on a second product category that will revolutionize that segment of the market. We've been working on this for almost 15 months, and it's one of those things. We're bringing a new technology to market, and when you're bringing new tech, it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. So we may show some teasers on it on the train ride. We'd like to be a little bit closer. And then we have a third product that we're working on the locomotive side of the house, which we may show some engineering on, that will be the most, what's the word I want to say without giving too much away? The most realistic locomotive ever produced in any scale. And I know that's a very bold statement, but it's absolutely groundbreaking. And there's more that we're working on for nationals. My fingers, toes across, prayers are happening, but we're going to go right up until the 11th hour, I think, as we come to the finish line, even though we've been prepping for over 2 years.
Is this all this pressure coming from the fact that this is the national train show in your backyard? You've got all these elements. Maybe it only comes around to Chattanooga once every 90 years or so, right? It's this is our moment. That must have put a lot of heat on you and your team to we got to come up big here.
We're looking at this as a once in a lifetime moment. And I've challenged our team. I said, whatever it takes to show Southern hospitality to the guests who will be spending the week with us, we're going to do it. And I've really challenged our team to push the envelope and of product, of services, of things that we'll do while folks are here. And while we're definitely not going to be able to do everything we'd hope to get done, if budgets were limitless, we would definitely be there.
Yeah.
But I still think we'll be able to put on a great display here in the office as well as at the show. And the team really stepped up. The team really wants to have some special announcements here at this convention, just because it is in our backyard. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But, the one person that's working on the new technology, as I've told them here in the last couple of weeks, is, I would love to have this for nationals, but I also don't want to show something that's not ready. And it's better to get it right and announce it later this year than have a product that's not quite ready for prime time and we take the risk of disappointing our customer. It's just, as much as we all want to have an incredible nationals full of announcements, it's better to do it right and do it later than do it now and not be as good as it could be. Like even the new locomotive that Matt's working on, I think we requested about 10 different samples for the show. And within the last couple of weeks, and by the way, I was just at the factory the very first week of June in China, and I saw some of these things in process, but they just came to us and said, "Hey guys, if you want quality models, we can give you 2, pick 2, and you'll get the other 8 a couple of weeks later." And it's like, well, we got to have quality models, so we'll give you 2 road names. We'll take those 2, and we'll get the other 6 a little bit later. So at least we'll still have something to show, and we fulfill our commitment that we'll always have when we make an all new product announcement, something you can see, touch, hold, but won't be the full complement, but at least folks will see the product itself.
As owner and president, that must make you happy, though, that they came and they told you that versus just trying to push this through, that they were honest with you at the factory and said, here's what you're going to get. And the focus was on quality, not quantity.
That's a great point. And Ray, this was my first trip back to the factory since November of 19. And this was the most productive trip I've ever been on. I came back. I think I drove our team nuts. It's so funny. Our hosts at the factory are such gracious people, and they know I love Coke Zero. You'll almost always find me with a Coke Zero. And we would go to lunch or dinner, and they would pour a Coke Zero for me. And then if you take like a little drink and there's like a half an inch out of the glass, they'll top it off for you. And then, pretty soon that can's empty and the next one comes. I'll bet you every day I had 5 to 10 Coke Zeros. And then one night we went to the tea shop and I probably had 20 cups of tea. I was working I would be up and working at 6 a.m., running till probably 9 or 10 at night, go to bed, get up at 1 and work till 5 in the morning and go back to bed for an hour. I was driving our people nuts. But it must have been the caffeine. I say that because I came back with 40 pages of follow-up notes.
Wow.
And it was really neat because, and I'm kind of getting off topic from what we're talking about, but I think this is really fundamental for our future. We're in a transition phase ourselves. We're growing our leadership team. We're really working so that I have a team of folks that run the day-to-day so I can focus solely on the future. We're developing our next generation of leaders. We're even developing the next leaders after them. We have a very young team, probably half of our team, and also developing our people themselves, giving them the skills that they need to be successful in the ScaleTrains way. And while we were at the factory, I kind of reset that table because they're going through the same thing. Their owner is doing almost exactly what I'm doing. And it was the first time. We had one project manager the last time I was in China, and we had about 4 or 5 on the design team. This time we had, I believe it was 5 project managers and probably 12 or more on the design team. And it was a nice reset because I got to talk to them about culture, which is very important to us. When folks come to nationals, they're going to see our mission, vision, values on the walls and hear our team talk about those things. And I got to share that and even our faith with the team in China, but in a respectful way. Understand that in China they believe in a higher power. It's not God like we do here in America, and reset that table and really have a great launching point for the next generation of ScaleTrains as well as the next generation at the factory. And that relationship, that part where you talk about them notifying us, they really understand the importance of quality and communication. We talked a lot about communication. And so I think that it's just made the relationship stronger. I'm going back in October, taking 2 of our project managers with me. And for me, that's going to be the handoff so that our project managers can work with their project managers.
Talk about coming back to the national convention here. And then, of course, folks visiting ScaleTrains. How does that ScaleTrains culture go on display when people see ScaleTrains, whether it be at the National Convention, at the National Train Show, or at the facility? What are some of the best ways that people can see that culture?
One of our values is servant leadership, and we call that intentional hospitality. And we're very much about being intentional, meaning we put a lot of forethought and a lot of thought into what we do. And hospitality takes service to a whole new level. When you're here visiting, one of the things we're going to do, the for example, the tour on Tuesday happens to be over lunchtime. And so we're going to make sure that we bring in food and are taking care of the guests that'll be here so that they have lunch on the train. It'll be a chance to interact with everyone. We'll have gift bags for everyone when they get off the train with some really special goodies inside. When you're here at ScaleTrains and have a chance to visit with everyone, we want to serve. We want to take care of the people that are here. It's all about that servant heart. And you see that in the care that we have with our people. I struggle to use the word pride. Pride comes before the fall, but we keep this place extremely clean, even in the warehouse. The shelves are neat, they're tidy. There's not papers on the floor, things underneath the racks. And to me, that just shows that we're being good stewards of what we're given. And you'll see that on display from the moment you walk in the door here, at any time that you interact with our team. And that's who we are. That's just the core of who we are.
Other than those awesome bags of goodies and a full stomach, what do you hope that visitors take away from their trip to ScaleTrains?
My hope is when folks come, and visit and spend time with us, that they go back home with a lifetime of great memories. One of the gifts that is really priceless. And as I get older and I reflect, my wife and I are empty nesters, and I look back when our kids were home, it's the memories, right? And the times, whether you're traveling with buddies to come here, or once you get here, you're meeting up with old friends or making new friends, or the time that you have here, whatever you've done, when you look back and say, man, I remember going on the steam train ride and so-and-so did this, or so-and-so said that, or I just want people to look back and have fantastic memories of the time that they spent here in Chattanooga.
Well, whether it's at the National Convention or the National Train Show and seeing the world record-setting T-track modules, or getting the tour of ScaleTrains, or that awesome Somerville steam special that we're going to be going on, there's a lot of ways to take away memories of Chattanooga, and including events that even are outside of that. And you mentioned a few. This is your neighborhood, Shane. What are some of your favorite things to do in Chattanooga?
Well, besides eat, Ray, because there are a lot of great restaurants in Chattanooga and the surrounding communities. But if this is your first time, you've got to go to the Chattanooga Aquarium. It's a really incredible aquarium. There's two pyramids. Both are different from each other. Another great thing to do is the incline railway to the top of Lookout Mountain. Take a walk over or drive over to Lookout Point, and make sure you go walk all the way out to the end of the Civil War fort. It overlooks the entire city of Chattanooga. It's an incredible view. And the stories that you'll read on the signs, it's amazing, no matter which side that people were on, north or south, what they went through in those battles. Make sure you get to Chickamauga, and it's pretty amazing too as a battlefield. You've also got things like Rock City and Ruby Falls, both tourist attractions. We're working with Rock City ourselves on a special project. I guess I might have gave something away on that. And also, if you want to get out of town just a little bit, within about a 45-minute to an hour drive, we've got whitewater rafting on Class 3, Class 4 rapids. If you want something a little more tame, that's on the Ocoee River. A little more, just up the road, maybe another 15 minutes is the Hiawassee. If you want something more tame and want to cool off for the summer, there's great hiking in the mountains. There's just so many things. So you can rent a pontoon and go out on the lake. A lot of things to do, and tons of stuff for the kids. It's a great place to bring the family. And so you can make not only model railroad memories and railroading memories, but family memories as well. And And so, yeah, it's going to be a special time.
So Shane, tell us where we can find out more information about attending the 2026 NMRA National Convention and all the fun activities that are going to be happening around ScaleTrains.
So for the convention itself, go to NMRA2026.org. And then for the National Train Show, it's just nationaltrainshow.org. And then for the ScaleTrains activities and more details, we'll have a new webpage launching here in about a week. But you can also follow our newsletter, and you can just go to our homepage, go down to the bottom, and sign up for our newsletter. Every week, we're sending updates. You could also follow our social media, especially on Facebook, and we're posting updates pretty regularly there as well. And and of course, any questions, how we can help, you're welcome to call ScaleTrains and talk with our sales team, extension 2, or send us an email at sales@scaletrains.com. We're happy to help. And if we don't have the answer, we'll connect you with the folks at the NMRA who can definitely help as well.
Excellent stuff. And we'll share all the links to that on our show notes aroundthelayout.com/246. Shane, it is so great catching up with you, and I am looking forward to my first trip to Chattanooga, Tennessee, getting to ride the Somerville Steam Special with you and all the great folks at ScaleTrains, and then hanging out with you at the National Train Show as well. It's going to be a great time in Chattanooga, and I hope everybody that's listening are going to make plans to join us in Chattanooga. But until then, Shane, have fun planning the rest of the 2026 National Convention and all the events going around with it, and we'll see you very soon.
Ray, thanks so much for having us and letting us share what's happening with the Nationals this year. We look forward to hosting you and all the guests of the Around the Layout podcast. And be sure to stop by and say hi to us and spend some time together and make memories with us.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Around the Layout. Learn more about today's episode, check out past shows, and much more on our website, aroundthelayout.com. Show your support by becoming an operating crew member at aroundthelayout.com/crew. Follow us on social media, aroundthelayout.com/social. And send us your feedback, aroundthelayout@gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out with us around the layout.